I'm here with Jay Otluski, our broker here at Desert Home Premier. Ripped and raring to go to answer some questions about the little nuances that come up, and sometimes we have to say, what the heck do I do next?
That happens often.
Yep, it sure does. So we're going to try and help curve some of that. So the issue we're talking about today, buyer number one offers $100,000 for the home.
Okay.
Buyer number two offers $105,000 for the home. Better yet. The listing broker contacts the broker for the first buyer, to see if buyer one wants to make a higher offer than the 105.
Makes sense.
So the broker for buyer one wants to pay $105,000 for the offer from buyer two. Can the listing broker furnish a copy of the $105K offer to the broker for buyer one?
Oh, okay, so two offers, and the first agent wants a copy of the second one just to verify.
Right, make sure it's legit.
Not that an agent would ever make that up, but I can understand why they may want proof.
Yep.
So yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, there's no. A lot of agents think that offers are confidential and you cannot just let anybody know what they are or see them. It's really not. An offer is really just an offer. It's not a contract. There's no reason they wouldn't. So let's think through maybe a couple scenarios. So one would be for sure if the seller said no. So in our case, when we talk to our agents, we tell them that, if you get a second or third offer, talk to your seller. Will you allow me to shop these to try and get you more money for your home?
Right.
If the seller says no, you cannot, I'd get it in writing. Everything in writing last. Verbal doesn't actually have a representation. But if they say, yeah, fine, do it, then yeah, you can do it. Yeah.
So in the event that, we take offer one and we go under contract with $100,000, we've signed, we're good to go, executed contract, and now buyer two comes in with $105. What's the best practice on how to handle that?
Well, the seller signed it, it's executed, it's
Yes.
executory. Okay. Backup offer is really the only thing you can do. So I guess as an agent, I would be first say, would you like me to hold it as a backup? I've already accepted another offer. Keep that agent's name and a copy of that contract. You can either do a backup addendum to formally place it in second, or what most people do is just kind of hang on to it and see. So then when it comes to repairs, appraisals, there's other negotiation points in a deal that can sidetrack it. If you knew you had a better offer sitting out there, that gives you a little more ammunition with that first buyer.
So with that second offer that comes in, what should an agent say to their client if they say we're putting this in a backup position? At least we have a fallback in the event that something happens, and the seller's response is, "How much is the offer?" And this one's more than the other one.
Yeah.
And we're under a legally binding contract, but what does this mean? How much of that information should they disclose?
Well, they can, again, because it's just an offer and you are required as a listing agent to present all offers, you would want to tell them what it is.
Right.
And show them. Especially if the agent said yes, they would still like to have the house, then you would definitely show it to them. But either way, they get to see what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't withhold anything, because imagine a month down the road they accidentally run into, or that buyer stops by and tells the seller, God, I would have paid more. Now you're in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And that's never a good thing for an agent.
So in the exclusive right to sell agreement and the listing agreement, there is a section that goes over this, and it gives you the option to have your seller opt out to receiving that information.
Additional offers, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so in that case, if you've checked that and they're okay with it, and it's in writing because it's in the contract, the listing agreement, yeah, you would be fine then. Anything that comes in, you wouldn't need to present to them, unless the first agent said, yes, I want to make it a backup. I mean, it gets a little tricky because it actually says that I'm not accepting backup offers. You can check that box.
Right.
I mean, in the real world, you would probably still talk to your seller anyway, just so that as we always tell the agents, disclose. One way to stay out of a lawsuit is to disclose.
Yes. It's just an interesting point. You had mentioned that if the seller receives a backup offer and they say, well, now I want to go with that one because it's a better deal.
Can't
I know
do
that's
it.
why, right, and I know that's why in some cases, agents like to select that on the ER so that it helps
Yeah. Yeah.
curb some of that, because then the seller, in theory, if they had explained the contract, or explained the contract, then, you know, they would understand that if something coming in.
Right. Well, picture yourself at the listing table, you know, you're going through the listing agreement, you've checked that box to not accept backup offers.
Right.
I'm gonna go on the idea that most agents are going to thoroughly explain that section. But even if you do thoroughly exchange it, and let's just say it takes a month or two to sell,
Mhm.
they've forgotten what you said.
That's a good
In
point.
that scenario where that buyer happens to be walking down the street or purposely
Yes.
goes there, tells them he offered more,
Mhm.
I'd still go back to my statement of disclose.
Right.
The other thing I guess I'd say is that strategically think about these offers too. If we get back to the original question of there's 100 and 105, if you tell them it's 105, that first one may only go to 105. Whereas if you tell them you've got significantly over asking price, but you don't actually give them a copy, you may get more for it. So it's a little tricky.
Right.
Talk to your broker, or we tell our agents come
Always.
see one of us. There's three of
Yep.
us in the building at all times for the most part that can answer this question.
Right.
But always keep in mind you're working for the seller. You're
Yeah.
working to get them the most money you can. So stay within the rules and do that.
Yep. Yeah, when it comes to those fiduciaries, you want to make sure that you're really supporting the side that you represent while also being very true to the code of ethics.
Correct.
Because
Oh,
there
yeah.
could be some possible issues surrounding that as well. I mean, we could probably talk about this issue for a while.
Isn't real estate fun?
Yeah. Aren't you glad that you have that opportunity to get sued every day? But yeah, I think that's a great discussion. It's a lot of really good points to know. It's something that we probably come up with pretty regularly, and it's what do I do in this situation? So that's extremely helpful. Thank you for your insight.
Sure.
So next week we'll talk again on Wednesday and go over another hotline question. These are taken directly from the legal hotline. So these are real scenarios and how the lawyers, the real estate lawyers for the state said, this is what you need to know about it. This is how you handle it. So this is important stuff to know. I mean, this guy's super smart too, and he's just reinforcing it. But this actually comes from the broker hotline. We'll follow up again next week. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, put it in the comments. We'd love to have an ongoing conversation with you regarding that. Take care.
Thanks. And I'll have